In this video, we will see various activation functions used in artificial neural networks. Activation functions are nothing but they are simply mathematical equations, and they are going to determine what is the output of your neural network. And this function is the function that determines when to activate or fire a neuron. Otherwise, the neuron will not send any signal to the other one. You have to determine when I have to fire it. And they also have a major effect on the neural network's ability to converge. Converge is nothing but whatever algorithm you have, finally they have to converge at a particular point. So these functions are playing major role in convergence also. And our aim of the selecting activation function is they generally normalize the output of any input in the range 1 to -1 or otherwise 0 to 1. We are not going to keep infinite value. We will restrict our output range. And one more important feature is these functions must be computationally efficient, because we are dealing with problem which are containing many number of data points. So we will always go for artificial neural network with more number of layers and other things. So these functions must be computationally efficient. Otherwise, your algorithm will become very complex. Now, in activation function, there are certain properties. One is called as the function should be non-linear, because whatever program or whatever data set you are selecting, we will not say that all the data set are linear. So the function should be able to work on non-linear data set also. That is one of the important property of the activation function. And the second one is the functions should be differentiable. Okay, in case of neural network, we have something called as gradient-based optimization method, which is mainly used in case of backpropagation, that we will see in the next class. So in that, the function, if it is a differentiable, then you can implement them. So this is a second property of activation function. And the third property is when you select a function, you have to see what is the output range the function is generating. So that is the third one you have to consider. And fourth one is the function should be monotonic. What is the meaning of monotonic is the function is either non-increasing or non-decreasing. Okay, so if a function is like that, we will say it is monotonic function. And always we want to achieve monotonicity in our activation function. That is the next property. And your function should also approximate identity near the origin. So we will see what is this later when we focus on various examples. Okay, so now these are all the properties of the activation functions. Let us see now what are the most widely used activation functions. The basic activation function is linear or identity activation function. So what is linear? From the name itself, you can see linear means we will get a linear relationship. Okay, so in this, it is a simple straight line activation function where our output is directly proportional to the weighted sum of the input, because the input of the activation function is weighted sum. Whatever is the output of the activation function, that is directly proportional to the input. So we will say that f of x is the output of the function that is directly proportional to x. That means f of x is equal to m into x. The main problem with this activation function is, if you see, this is a graph for the function. The graph is linear. That means the graph ranges from -infinite to +infinite. Okay, generally we don't want to have ranges from -infinite to +infinite. We want to limit our range. Okay, but here the output of the function will not be confined between any range. That's why this function is not widely used. So let us see other functions. The next function is called as binary step activation function. So binary means two outputs will be there. Okay, it will be 0 and 1. Step input means, if you consider the diagram, you can understand why it is called as binary step. So this is like a step. Okay, I have a step-like arrangement in this. Okay, and I have only two values of the output. Y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 1. So it is called as binary step activation function. And this is generally used in a linear classifier. And wherever you want to predict, if you have two classes, if you want to predict any one class out of those two, you can go for binary classification. In that, the binary step activation function will be used. And how this function is working is, you can see this equation, f of x is equal to 1 if x is greater than 0. So here you can see this is my input x. If this input x is greater than 0, for all these values, my output y, which is nothing but f of x, is equal to 1. Otherwise, for all the remaining values, the output y will be equal to 0. So I'll say that if it is less than 0, it is 0. Even for 0, you can say it is 0. It is, you can say that f of x is equal to 1 if x is greater than 0. else 0. That means x is less than or equal to 0. You will say that it is 0. It is called as binary activation function. And here the main advantage is you are limiting your output to 0 and 1 only, 2 values only. But main thing, what is the problem here? I am getting only 2 values exactly from the classifier. It will either show 0 or otherwise 1. I'll not have intermediate values. But if you want to have intermediate values based upon how much, what is the probability you are giving for that particular classification, you cannot select binary step activation function. You have to go for some other functions. That is one of the thing is sigmoid or logistic activation function. We have already seen this one in logistic regression. The same function is used here. So always in case of sigmoid function, we will get a curve which is similar to S-shaped curve. If you plot the sigmoid function, this is a formula for the sigmoid function. Pi of z is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e power minus z. If you plot this, you will get a S-shaped curve. I have already explained clearly in logistic regression. If you have any doubt, you go and refer there. You will learn how this S-shaped curve is obtained. And what is the advantage of the sigmoid function is, here, the output of the sigmoid function ranges from 0 to +1. You can see here the output is 0, and in this, the output is 1. In between, you are getting different values, which ranges from 0 to 1. Okay, so whenever you want to associate probability to the prediction output, you can go for sigmoid function. Like I can say this is the output with 50% probability or 70% probability and so on. So we will say that the sigmoid function is used for models where we have to predict the probability as an output. And our probability is going to take value from 0 to 1. So in that case, you can use this function. Okay, so this is called as logistic or sigmoid activation function. And in logistic sigmoid function, we have a disadvantage that is called as vanishing gradient problem. So we will see what is this problem later. Just to know what is this problem, it occurs because in this function, what we are doing is we are converting very large value of your input between the range of 0 and 1. So because of that, what will happen is some of the derivatives will become smaller. So with the help of the derivative, you may not be able to get the satisfactory output. That is called as vanishing gradient problem. Gradient is nothing but derivative only. Vanishing gradient means the derivatives are becoming very, very smaller. So we are not able to get the satisfactory output. That is a drawback of this logistic or sigmoid function. So to overcome that, people went for other activation functions. So we will see what are the other activation functions we have. Other function is called as tanh or otherwise hyperbolic tangent activation function. How you can compare this with sigmoid function is, in case of sigmoid function, the red color line is the sigmoid function. The output varies from 0 to 1. Here you will be getting probability, all the intermediate values you will get. Whereas in case of tanh function, the output is not from 0 to 1, it is from -1 to 1. That is the only difference here. So because of introducing negativeness, what is the advantage? In case of sigmoid function, we don't have any negative value. We are having from 0 to +1 only. The advantage is negative inputs will be mapped strongly negative and 0 input will be mapped near 0. Whereas in case of sigmoid function, even 0 as well as negative function will be mapped to 0 only. But here, negative values will be mapped to negative -1 and 0 will be mapped to close to 0. That is the only advantage in case of tanh function. And we always use tanh function also only for binary classification, where our target class is going to have 2 different classes. And the next activation function is called as ReLU. ReLU stands for Rectified Linear Unit Activation Function. And this is a graph for that. You see the name here, it is linear unit. That means that you will have a linear relationship. Linear relation is nothing but when your input increases, output also increases linearly. So you can see this part. Here we have a linear relationship. Then what is the other part? Rectified. Rectified is nothing but when your input is less than 0. When your input is less than 0, you will not have any linear relation. Instead, you will have always the output as 0. Okay, so that is called as rectified linear unit. For example, if my input is 5, okay, this is a formula for that. Output is nothing but maximum of 0, z, where z is your input. If my input is 5, I have to find what is the maximum value, 0 or 5. 5 is the maximum, so output will be 5. So I'll get a graph here. If my input is -5, you find what is the maximum of 0 and -5. 0 is the maximum. So you will get 0. So you will say that if your input is either 0 or negative value, you will get 0 as output. Otherwise, for all the positive input, you will not get any probability. You will get only a linear relationship where you have even up to infinite value. So this is the range. The range of this function is nothing but 0 to infinity. And this function is half rectified. That is, at the bottom, we don't have the linear relationship. It is called as rectified function. And very important thing is, this ReLU function is the most widely used activation function in convolutional neural network and then deep learning algorithms. So this is a famous function. Now, in case of this ReLU, we have a problem that is called as dying ReLU problem. So what is dying ReLU problem is, here I have a negative value. If I have 0 as the input, my output is 0. If I have again negative value, for that also my output is 0. So here all the negative values become 0 immediately. Because of that, the ability of the model to train from the data is decreasing. Okay, so we want to avoid this dying ReLU problem. For that, they have given another activation function that is called as leaky ReLU. So what is leaky ReLU is, this is the previous one, ReLU function, okay, where your input is either linear proportional to input, output is linear proportional to input, or otherwise it is 0. So we have seen that the disadvantages for negative, it is suddenly coming to 0. So in case of leaky ReLU, they have given some leak in that. So what is the leak is, for negative values, for positive value, it is same as ReLU only. But for negative values, you can see here it is 0. But in this, it is not suddenly going to 0. Instead, it is reducing. Finally, it will reach 0, but it will not suddenly go to 0. That is the main thing they have given. So they have the formula like this. When your input is positive, output is proportional to the input. Or you can say that output is equal to the input. When input is negative, then you will say f of y is equal to a into y. But this a value is very small value. You can see here, most widely used value for a is 0.01. Even you can reduce the value. Because of that only, when you deal with negative input, the output suddenly will not go to 0. It will reduce, it will go to 0 finally, but not suddenly. That is the main advantage in this. And if you select a as 0.01 always, that is called as leaky ReLU. And if you select any other value than 0.01, that is called as randomized ReLU. That is the only thing we have here. Okay. And next function is called as sigmoid softmax function. So this softmax function is a very important function to handle multi-class classification problem. So for whatever we have seen, they are used for binary classification problem. When you go for multi-class classification problem, like I have a data set which contains 3 different animals, cat, tiger, and then lion. I want to predict them. So in that case, I have more than 2 classes. In that case, I need to use only softmax. I cannot use sigmoid or other things. So this softmax function will squeeze your output for every class between 0 and 1. Then it will divide the value by sum of the output, like normalization. Okay, so here it is generally used in the output layer of the classifier to obtain the probability for every class of the multi-class classification problem. If you have binary classification problem, you can use sigmoid as well as softmax. If you have multi-class classification problem, generally we will use only softmax along with something called as cross entropy. We will see this later. So now this is a formula for the softmax function. We can write the output is nothing but e power zi divided by summation of j is equal to 1 to k e power zj. Okay, so here these are all nothing but they are your different output classes. So for every class, you are going to predict the probability. And finally, you are normalizing it by dividing by the sum. So that when you sum all the probabilities, you will get the value equal to 1. This we have already seen in the